Hi everyone. This video has been created with the purpose to help you get to see the big pictures of chapters 2, 3, and 4 and help you understand a bit better this table that I've created for you guys. So in this table, basically I have set up all the models that we've studied in these chapters side by side. So we have the Ricardian, specific factors model, and the Hesher-Ohlin model. I begin by discussing basically the setup of the model, the production side, the demand side, and basically the markets. And then I also discuss the main results of each of the models at the bottom. So you can read these basically one column at a time, this way, down, and get a good sense of each of the models. And then also what you can do is you can look at it across and get to understand what are the key outcomes of certain elements of the setup. So for example, when we look at the Ricardian model, we see that, or we know that it has constant marginal product of labor. Labor is the only specific or the only factor in production in this model. And because of this constant marginal product, we get to see straight PPF. In the other two models, we get to see a diminishing marginal product in each of the factors. So that leaves us with a curved PPF. Now, what's also important to note is the importance of having free mobility in labor, for example. This is something that we have in all of the models, and this is what leads to the wages being equalized across industries. So this concept is very important, it's helping you solve problems and also understanding key results of the model. We see that in the Hesher-Ohlin model or in the HO model, capital is also free to move across industries. That's why we think of it as a long-run model. This is not the case in the specific factors model, and that's why the specific factors model basically has two different types of capital in a sense that cannot change from one industry to another. Moving forward, you know, the middle part here is not of great importance, but this kind of helps us realize that in all of the models that we've studied so far, we don't really get to see the complete model, but we're just mainly focusing on the production side and then focusing on the results that come out of it. The markets are all perfectly competitive, and later on in the future chapters we'll see what happens when that changes. Lastly, as mentioned, this last column here focuses on the results. So what determines the pattern of trade is the first key question. In the Ricardian model, we learned that trade is determined by comparative advantage, which is also the case with the specific factors model. But when it comes to the Hesher-Ohlin model, the key part here is factor abundance. And then when we look at overall gains from trade, we learned that in the Ricardian, everyone gains from trade. In the specific factors model, the workers have an ambiguous effect. Some workers win, some workers lose, depending on their preferences, while capital and land depend on which sector they're being used in. And when we think of the Hesher-Ohlin model and we look at the main results, we learn that the factor that's being used intensively in exports gains, and the factor that's being used intensively in imports loses. So this basically helps you see the very big picture of chapters 2, 3, and 4. And I think it's a good place to start as you go through and perform your review. But once you start with this, obviously it's important for you to go through the rest of the material and add more detail to each of these concepts to ensure that you have a thorough understanding of them. If you have any other questions, please let me know, and I will do my best to create more content to help you with your understanding. And in the meantime, I hope that you all do very well on your midterm.